This video is brought to you by my patrons, toxic masculinity, and cowboys, I guess. Hello, and welcome to, or back to, my channel. I'm Kit, and today we're going to discuss Chris Williamson's interview with Dry Creek Dewayne. On November 25th, 2024, the Modern Wisdom podcast posted Life Lessons from a Modern Cowboy with the thumbnail Frontier Wisdom. Dewayne runs a Wrangler school with his wife, or, well, did. Per their website, they're not hosting any classes or waitlists for 2025, but they do have a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers, and of course, his chat with Chris isn't just about horses, which is why we're here. And getting straight to the point, Chris asks what he's learned about humans from working with horses, and Dewayne says humans don't know how to communicate. And he goes on to explain.
So to be able to build a communication with a horse, we have to move into their world and learn to speak, but learn to think how they think. Well, I mean, we can say men and women are the same thing. You know, the women are different from men. They have a different way of thinking. And like I said, my wife, I've been married almost 34 years. And even today, there's things I say, and she absolutely, what she heard is not what I said.
Right. So, can people mishear? Of course. Can people attribute a different meaning to what you said than what you intended? Of course. Can people need clarification or perhaps not grasp certain concepts as easily as someone else? Of course, but that is a people thing, not a man and woman thing. Now, Dewayne does say some things that I agree with, like leaving things and people better than you found them, but somehow we always end up here. Chris asks what he thinks about the balance for men when it comes to strength and softness, and basically, men just need to man up and do their thing unless they become toxic to those around them. And I'm
still very old school. Now, there comes a point where it can be debilitating to those around me. Okay? If I bottle everything up inside so that I get to the point that I am toxic or debilitating to those around me, then I need to get some help. But as long as I'm not, I don't need to add more burden for them to carry. That's just me.
Can you be a bit more specific about what that is, how that shows up for you?
My wife has been encouraging me for a while now for me to go and talk to somebody. Just there's years and years and years of, I mean, there were a lot of rough years there. But I'm like, I can't do that. You know, I mean, I know the guy gets paid to sit there and, but it's just not necessary, you know. I'm still old enough and I'm of the school. It's like, just deal with it.
Suck it up.
You know, I broke 3 ribs one time in a barn, saddling horses, horse threw a fit, took 8 aspirin and got on that horse and did a 4-hour ride because I had a job to do. It's my job. Now, I know, let's go back to balance, okay?
I was about to mention that.
I understand. I'm with you 100%. But at the same time, your balance and my balance and his balance are different. And so I think a man has to find his own balance. You're going to get so many messages on here disagree with this. But I think that this thought of men's mental health, emotional health, go get help, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's out of place. But I think, like everything else, I think it could be taken to the point that men just become weak. And brother, let me tell you, in this day and age, we don't need more weak men. Now, when you're when your internal battles come to the point that you need help because they have weakened you, then get help, you know. But I think everybody's balance is different. And I fear there was a problem for years on this side, but I fear, just like everything else, with that subject being pushed the way it is, we're going to get out of balance on the other side. And it's like, and everybody needs therapy for everything.
Chris also brings up that Dewayne didn't go to a doctor when he was having a heart attack, and I really don't think this is a message men need to hear now or 20 years ago. And, you know, I get a lot of random commenters who like to bring up that men have shorter life expectancies than women, that they die from suicide more than women, and this is the kind of talk that perpetuates that. Just going to sleep when you're having a heart attack or getting on a horse after you've broken your ribs, that's not funny, Chris. That's harmful. Refusing to seek help for your mental health until you deem it necessary because you think it will weaken you. And by the way, going to therapy is not placing a burden on your loved ones. Knowing that someone is getting the help they need actually lifts a burden. Please do not think this man is giving good old school advice. He's just reinforcing patriarchal norms, and it apparently hasn't occurred to him that perhaps his wife is finding him to be toxic, and that's why she's been encouraging him to speak with someone. And now, wait a minute. Is he the one that gets to make the call that he's becoming toxic? I don't really think a person can be objective in that situation. And, you know, this might sound weird, but I think a lot of the appeal of I'm old school is that it requires you to do nothing. I seem to be having a heart attack. Oh well, I could speak to someone, but nah. And though it sounds very noble, oh, I don't want to burden people with my problems, your loved ones love you, they want you to be okay, you are not a burden. Bottling things up inside is not strength. Acknowledging that you're a full human being, with all that implies, is not a weakness. Would Dewayne be annoyed or disgusted if his wife or daughter or son came to him with their problems? I trust not, and he should certainly feel free to discuss his problems with his wife. But, well, speaking of marriage...
What are you hearing from the guys in your audience? What are they often asking? What are they coming to you? What are the problems that they're dealing with mostly?
Relationships. Girls. They were not raised. They were not raised with a dad who said, hey, this is how you treat a lady. You know, this is how, you know, when girls talk and they say this, what they actually mean is this. And I'm not talking about no means no, but I'm talking about, you know, I don't know, you don't have to get me something to eat when you go get something. I don't want anything. But it is, and so young men these days were never taught by another man how to treat a lady like a lady. And they go into a relationship, girlfriends, marriages, getting all their information from Hollywood. And it's a crash and burn because they don't understand relationships. They don't understand communication. They don't understand the balance between being a man and being a bore, being a buffoon, you know, being a tyrant. They don't know the difference between being, can I call names on here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Andrew Tate, okay, or some little milksop over here. You know, you got the two extremes, and they can't find that place in the middle. The biggest thing by far is relationships.
Why would you ask a man how to treat a woman? Why would you treat a woman differently than a man? You should be treating everyone with a basic courtesy. And it does amuse me that his idea of communication is learning how to interpret women. Thinking that women are speaking another language is just another patriarchal artifice to keep men and women divided. We speak the same language. That doesn't mean there aren't people who buy into the, if he really loves me, he'll read my mind, especially when young, but that's either just enjoying the game or buying into the patriarchal nonsense that Dewayne is also perpetuating. You shouldn't expect a woman's word to mean something different from what she said. Don't play that game. Don't date someone who plays that game. And I just want to say that I see Dewayne trying not to be sexist, but benevolent sexism is still sexism. And on that note, Chris asks what his advice is to young guys on how to negotiate with a woman from Venus and how to treat and understand a lady better. Dewayne says to treat her like she's special, and then...
My problem with the feminist movement is why in the Sandhill is something as special and wonderful as a woman want to be equal with a man. Why do you want to bring yourself down to that level? You know, as a Christian, God gave two very special gifts to mankind. The first one was a woman, and the second was Jesus Christ.
It sounds nice, doesn't it? Ladies, why do you want equality? You're better than men. But he gives it away almost immediately. Women aren't people like men. They're something that were given to men. They're men's property. They have no agency. I'm sure Dwayne's fans would say, oh, he didn't mean it like that, etc., but that is what he said. And as I noted before, benevolent sexism is still sexism, and this is a great example.
Okay, you can teach an ape to work construction. You cannot teach an ape to raise human children. I think it's degrading to women to try to be the same as a man is, okay? Treat them special.
I wish he would tell us why he thinks women are special, but from you can teach an ape to do construction, you can't teach an ape to raise human children, I'm guessing he thinks women should be treated special because of their natural mothering capabilities. Remember this moment.
There's a quote from Timothy Leary that says, women who aspire to be equal with men lack ambition.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but I agree with it. I'm like, I get up and give you my seat because I think you're special, not because I think you're my equal. A guy comes in, he's 57 years old, he's physically equal to me, I'm not going to get up and give him my seat, all right? So I give you my seat not because I think you're my equal. If you're my equal, you can stand just like I do. I give you my seat because you're special.
Well, I'm glad to finally get an example of what treating women special looks like, though I would like to note that a 57-year-old man who looks healthy can need a seat more than a, let's say, 20-year-old woman. But again, I would like for Dwayne here to tell us why he thinks women are special, but honestly, I don't think men like this ever understand the frustration of just wanting to be seen as a person, not a woman. I don't want to be special, I want to be a person. I don't need someone handling me with kid gloves because they think I might break, or because they want something from me and they think if they're nice, they might get it.
What about the reverse? What do you wish more women knew about how men operated?
There's 10,000 times more going on inside the head of a man than you have any idea. He's carrying burdens that you don't have a clue about, and he don't know how to express them, and he don't know what to do about it, and he figures if he puts it out there and communicates it, he's just going to be shot down, called a fool, called weak, so he carries it inside, and you have no clue the burdens and the hell that most men are carrying inside and not even showing you.
And does Dwayne ever stop to think that his talk about weak men and milk sops and not needing therapy unless you become toxic to others just might perpetuate that? No, of course not. You see, the way to help men isn't through therapy or journaling or, well, anything the man might have to do. Yes, ladies, that's right. It's on you.
The average man, I believe, the average real man, does not need to go get therapy for the battles and the burdens he's carried inside. What he needs is for those that he's carrying them for to recognize that they're there and to respect it and to be grateful for it. They don't need to talk it out to get rid of it. They need the one that they're going through this hell for to recognize it's there and to be grateful that the man is carrying this for them. They don't need therapy, they need gratitude.
Oh, hell no, on so many levels. You do not get to claim that you're carrying battles and burdens for someone else, refuse to talk about them, and then demand respect and gratitude for it. Especially not if that makes you miserable to be around. Also, what does Dwayne have against therapy? Has he ever even been?
How important do you think it is to communicate that as a man? You've said there are 10,000 things, challenges, trauma, complete inability to communicate it, whether maybe you can communicate to a horse better than you can communicate it to your significant other.
Right.
What's your thoughts around vulnerability within a relationship? If you're not going to the therapist, perhaps.
Right.
How about opening up about these fears and concerns and
Well, first off, let's take away vulnerability, okay? Because a lot of times men won't open up, they won't respond because it's looked at as becoming vulnerable. And it's like the little Dutch boy with his finger in the dike. It's a little tiny leak, but if I allow this little tiny leak, the entire dike is going to give way. That's why we can't allow the little tiny leak. Okay?
No, not okay. If you allow that tiny little leak and it turns into a flood, that means there's a massive problem boiling under the surface.
So if I'm sitting here and if I'm one of these guys and my significant other is sitting there, I can communicate to her what I need to communicate without being vulnerable. I can maintain my strength and communicate to her. Okay? I can say, look, I'm working 60 hours a week. And the environment that I'm working in is very, very difficult. And I come home and I only have 8 hours here at the house. And this is the only place of peace I have in this entire world. And when I come home, you're angry all the time. You're not satisfied about anything. You want that, whatever the situation is. If you're not going to provide for me that little bit of peace, that this is the only place I can get, what are we doing? Now, you're not vulnerable. You're not getting walked on. You're not being a jerk. You're not coming in, throwing stuff down and saying this. You're just communicating the hard reality truth is. The hard reality truth is our relationship at this point has boiled down to this. Now, you have a beautiful house. You never worry about there being grocery money. You have a car. I put the fuel in your car because you let it go to empty all the time. I provide this and this and this. And what I'd like for you is some peace and some understanding. If that's where your situation is. But to communicate it in such a way, not to come in and whine, not to grovel, and not to tyrant, not to yell, not to pick a fight. It's like, look, I'm just communicating because I think we have a lack of understanding here. So I need you to understand this is where things are right now. And so you can communicate, but how you communicate is just as important as what you communicate.
So basically, Dewayne and Chris are just two men who are afraid of vulnerability, and they're teaming up to teach other men to be afraid of vulnerability as well. Great.
What have you learned about the importance of fatherhood? You got
I have 7 children.
7 children.
Yeah.
What have you learned about the importance of fatherhood?
All right. I believe God made man. Okay. And God created man and God gave man the word. And the word at that time was don't eat of the fruit of those 2 trees. Okay. That was a symbol. That's all the word God gave man at that time. Then God gave man a work. And the work was, he said, take care of this garden. And then God gave man a woman to help the man. Okay. That man and then the woman God gave him, that became a marriage. And then that man and wife had children. And those children had children, and then there became governments. Okay? You see where I'm going? In this country was founded as a Christian country. This is what I believe. People can do whatever. I believe that this country is only as strong as the churches. Even our founding father says America will remain great as long as America is good. When America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. This country is only as strong as the churches in this country. The churches are only as strong as the families that make up those churches. Those families are only as strong as the marriages that those families are built on, and those marriages are only as strong and good as the man that God built the marriages on. As goes the man, so goes the marriage. As goes the marriage, so goes the family. As goes the family, so goes the churches. As goes the churches, so goes the country. Everything is built on the husband and the father.
This seems like a very long-winded answer to a simple question, but first, when was America great? And second, this circles back to what I said before. Per Dewayne, women are special, but men are everything. If men go to hell, it all goes to hell. This puts a lot of pressure on men, but it also uplifts men into a place of high importance where their actions and opinions matter because they are men. And women are given a superficial deference, but ultimately, their actions and opinions don't matter because they aren't men. And I can see how this would lead to a resentment of women. You're being told that you have to stand when a lady enters the room, offer her your seat, and so on. But you're also being told that the world is on your shoulders, and if you mess up, a whole lot of people will be going down with you, and it will be all your fault. But this is a lie. Women are people too, and they can share the burden of society alongside men. And those superficial niceties don't mean anything when your voice isn't considered or even heard at all.
And this country is a failure today because the fathers and the husbands have failed.
How?
Failing to be the example they need to be, failing to be the leaders they need to be, failing to be the disciplinarians that they need to be, failing to be the providers that they need to be. If you don't have the backbone as a husband and as a father to be the bad guy, you've got no business being a father or a husband. There's times when you have to know this is not a good direction for my marriage, for my family, and everybody's going to be mad at me. My wife is going to be mad at me. My kids are going to hate me. But in the long run, this is a very bad direction. And I'm putting my foot down, and we're not doing that. And you become the bad guy. But you do it for the long-term strength and safety of the family. And we've lost that. I mean, we've lost that in this country to a very large degree. And so I think, our next generation is going to run the politics, they're going to run the finances, they're going to run the judicial system, everything in this country. And they're going to be the result in a very large degree. And there's going to be those who don't agree with this. But they're going to be the result of whatever their fathers made them or whatever they become because they didn't have a father. And so I think fatherhood is paramount. I think it's paramount for the future of a society.
I find that such an interesting statement because, again, I would be willing to bet that Dewayne thinks what makes women special is that they can be mothers. But according to him, it's only fathers that really count. If the fathers aren't there or aren't strong, everything just falls apart. Mothers, apparently, don't account for much. And for anyone who thinks that Chris isn't that bad, he's just making sure everyone is heard.
Dewayne, I love everything that you do. You're fantastic. Everybody needs to check out your YouTube channel. Everyone needs to go and follow the stuff that you're doing online. I can't believe that you've been hiding away somewhere and now you've sort of broken above the surface. I really hope that so many people are going to be blown away by the things that you talk about. It's very, very impressive. I'm really, really glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
What is he doing except repeating patriarchal beliefs? I understand that Dewayne puts a friendly face on patriarchy, but we have got to stop making excuses just because someone seems nice. And I include myself in this. There's plenty of times in this video where I thought, well, sure, he said that, but no. This is just patriarchy trying to perpetuate itself into another generation. We don't need more manly men or womanly women. We need to treat people with basic courtesy. We need to respect that other people are different from us, and that's okay. We need to stop pretending it's good or normal to pretend men don't have hearts and women don't have brains. And on the off chance this attracts some Chris or Dewayne fans, please don't try to well women or well men. Men and women have all contributed to society throughout history. Women and men are all capable of being good, being selfless, being thoughtful. Men and women are all capable of being evil, being selfish, being self-centered. You can tell someone a bad thing a woman has done, and they can find you a bad thing a man has done. So just don't. Try to be a good person and treat everyone with a basic courtesy. And that was it for this video. Please feel free to leave your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next one.